GamingBolt presents 15 things you need to know before you buy Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Monolith Soft's Xenoblade Chronicles franchise has to be among the best weapons Nintendo have in their arsenal. Though it may not have the huge fan following of household names such as Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon, the two games that the developer has put out in the last few years have been absolutely astounding. Xenoblade Chronicles is without a doubt one of the best games on the Wii and the 3DS, and though the Wii U's Xenoblade Chronicles X wasn't as excellent, it still was a vast, addictive adventure in a beautifully realized game world. And now, Monolith Soft are returning with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for the Nintendo Switch, the direct sequel to the original Wii game. Here in this feature, we're going to take a look at 15 vital pieces of information on the game that are surely going to get you excited ahead of its release. Without further ado, let's begin. New setting. Though the upcoming Switch RPG is going to serve as the direct sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles series, unlike the spin-off Xenoblade Chronicles X, it won't be following the same story. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 will instead be set in a completely new world named Alrest, and features a brand new set of characters. Just like its predecessors, however, the game will be completely open world, and given Monolith Soft's track record with open worlds in the past, we're understandably excited to see what they have in store for us. The narrative. As we've already mentioned, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 will take place in Alrest, a world covered in crowds and populated by massive titans. The world of Alrest is slowly dying, and the story will follow protagonist Rex and his companions trying to make it to Elysium, what is called the ultimate paradise for humanity, to fix the world that they live in. Combat. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is going to feature the same brand of MMO-like combat that was implemented so well in its predecessors, but the way Monolith Soft are going about it this time is a little bit different. It seems the entire experience has been made a lot neater. Different enemy types will have different ways of behaving, which players will have to learn and adapt their playing styles to. For instance, while some enemies might attack you on sight, others might be perfectly content to let you pass by them peacefully, unless you provoke them first, of course. Blades. Blades are going to be quite important in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because not only are they vital to the narrative, but they're also going to be an integral part of the combat. Blades are basically humans that can transform into weapons once possessed by those who have the ability to do so. These people are called drivers. In the middle of combat, blades will appear as characters on the field of battle, and though they will not be directly controllable, they will provide support to their drivers. Arts. Blades, of course, will determine what arts you can use in combat. Yes, of course, the arts mechanic that made the combat of the previous Xenoblade Chronicles games as good as it was is making a return. But the system isn't going to be completely unchanged. Unlike the previous two titles, arts in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 will have to be built up through auto attacks, while also being divided into driver arts and blade arts. Surely this promises to inject a lot more variety into the combat, and we can't wait to see how it feels in action. Blade Trust. Blades in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 also perform functions like earning more loot or opening up new routes while exploring. In fact, their impact on gameplay goes beyond just that. The game is also going to feature a mechanic known as Blade Trust, which will basically entail the players building up trust with the blades at their disposal. Blade Trust will then result in more unlocked abilities, while the game will also include conversation-based, heart-to-heart scenes to work towards the same goal. Excursion missions. How will you build up your trust with blades, though? That will be done through something known as excursion missions, another new feature. Considering the number of blades that can be earned, which each will have their own personalities and classes, players will be able to send squads of them to excursion missions. These will be time-based missions from which blades will return with more XP, rewards, and higher trust. Blade Resonance. Blade Resonance is the feature that will determine what kind of blades you'll be able to summon. Through items called core crystals, players will be able to summon blades, though each blade will have unique abilities and use different weapons. This means that blades will be chosen at random, and every time you summon a blade, it'll be a little bit of a mystery box. Updated UI. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 will also have a much less cluttered user interface than its predecessors did. Apparently, the screen will be much less crowded with icons and other distractions. In fact, this isn't apparent anywhere else as much as it is in combat. Rather than showing you all of your attacks lined up at the bottom of the screen like in previous games, they've now been mapped to each Joy-Con's face buttons. Not only does this mean a neater UI, it also might result in a more fluid and intuitive combat system. New art style. The user interface is not the only thing that's going to be receiving a facelift. Both Xenoblade Chronicles games so far have been absolutely gorgeous to look at, with visuals that have appropriately supported their massive score, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 looks to follow suit, though with a slight variation. The game seems to have a more anime-like chibi art style, though everything we've seen so far seems to suggest that it'll have the same sense of scope that its predecessors did. File size. Should you choose to get this game digitally, you might want to clear some space on your system. That or get a micro SD card. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is now available to preload on the Switch eShop, and it comes in at a whopping 13 gigabytes. That makes it the second largest first-party game on the system in terms of file size, after only The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was 13.6 gigabytes. Character design. The biggest change fans of the Xenoblade Chronicles games will notice in terms of visuals is definitely going to be the character design, which is where most of the anime art style shows itself. The decision to do so was made by lead character designer Saito. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is his first video game project, and interestingly enough, he felt like more realistic character models just wouldn't be expressive enough. And here's something else that's interesting. Square Enix's Tetsuro Nomura also helped with the game's character design. World building. World building is, of course, an important part of any role-playing game, especially one such as Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it seems Monolith Soft are well aware of that fact. Among other things, the most interesting way the game is going to drive this is going to be through a theater in the game world, which players will be able to visit to watch performances. These performances will tell the backstory of the world, and apparently, it will be actually quite important to the story. Season Pass. Nintendo also recently announced a Season Pass for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which will cost $29.99. The package will include bonus support items released alongside the game at launch, a new quest in January, a rare new blade, and then eventually a challenge battle mode and new story content later on in 2018. That's a full year's worth of content, and hopefully it'll be worth the price of admission. Special Edition. While Xenoblade Chronicles 2 launches on December 1st, fans will also be able to purchase the game's Special Edition. The package will contain several things besides the game itself, including a sound selection CD, a steelbook case, and a 220-page hardbound art book. This Special Edition will be priced at $99.99. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.